What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to be talking about Redline. Alright, now let's get into it. In this movie, this is one of the recent movies that I've watched. It's an anime movie, and basically the whole gist of the movie is that it's a really high stakes racing anime. And the reason why I liked it so much is because it's very simple. And I think the main cast is, it's very simple. It's a very like kind of kiddish type of anime movie, but I feel like it still has some truth to it, and there's a lot to enjoy in this movie. So let's talk about JP. JP is the main character of this anime. He's a overconfident, you know, kind of douchey type of attitude, but it's a very charming attitude because we get to see his background and how he came to be that person. And when he was a child, he didn't have that much, and he really wanted to be a racer. And something that even excelled him to push and get that inspiration to be, you know, one of the world's best racers is that he one time he was like, you know, playing with his friends, you know, trying to build prototypes of cars and everything, and he saw that this one racer, I guess he was, you know, the past Redline winner, and he had this amazing car, and he had everything that JP kind of wanted at that moment. You know, it kind of grew on him that he wanted to become one of the world's best racers, and on top of that, he wanted to win the Redline, which is probably the biggest race in that, you know, the universe of Redline. Even the anime movie is called Redline, and that's basically what the end goal of JP. He wants to win the Redline. It kind of starts off with JP, you know, trying to get into the qualifying race for the Redline, and you know, there's this mysterious woman that kind of gets ahead and wins, and this person is one of the friends that he was in his friend group. And you know, all of a sudden, you know, things start, you know, tumbling down. You know, there's a lot of things going on. He doesn't get to win the race. You know, it's a really first like good 30 minutes of the movie. It's just really like exhilarating, and you know, it kind of sets the world building of what's going on in the world of Redline. And I really liked it because, you know, we see that Shonoshi was a friend of JP, and we get to see, you know, all the other characters like his manager. We get to see that, you know, he's always the underdog because that JP is trying to, you know, pay off his debts because he's building all these cars, and you know, he's, you know, destroying them during the races. So he has to be paying off these debts with like the mafia, and you know, they're always like kind of like gambling and fixing just so they can get new cars, just so they can go around and race. It's basically like, it's a very simple type of anime movie, and there's not that much ideology behind it, but I still found it very exhilarating and fun to be a part of. Some of the reasons why I thought that is because that Redline is basically, you know, the galaxies, you know, in this certain age, the galaxy is, they're out in the galaxy. There's so many worlds out there. It's like Dragon Ball, you know, there's so many galaxies and worlds, and you know, they all get together and start to race to see who's the best racer. And for the Redline, you have to kind of qualify for these races by, you know, going into, you know, the minor races. The minor race for JP and Shonoshi was the first race in the movie, and it's called the Yellow Line. And the winner of that one gets to go into the Red Line. And Shonoshi won. His, like, you know, his crush, she won, but then JP got in because people didn't want to go to the Red Line. And why was that? It's because the Redline was focused in, I think it was like this machine world, which is basically like the machine world was like humans. It was basically drawing to the comparisons to humans, and more likely Americans. You know, it was drawing comparisons to humans that, like, in the future we're going to be like machine oriented. We're going to be like, what's the word? We're going to be like basically half machine, half human, and that's kind of what they were going for. The Redline was being held at their world, and they were trying to like hold secrets, their government secrets, and so they didn't want any of that. So they basically were like, hey, let's go to fucking war. So basically the whole story is about, you know, these people are trying to race and trying to get ready for the Redline, but the machine type of faction is trying to sabotage them, trying to, you know, bring their national shoulders to go ahead and like execute them and everything. And it's just very cool, like, you know, just the opening sequence of them, you know, the first when they drop down onto the few miles of the track, it's just, they're coming out of a spaceship, and then there's freaking the whole fucking army of the planet is like right there just trying to kill them. And I just found that very high stakes type of racing, and it's kind of refreshing, because you kind of don't, when you think of racing, you just think of the normal Need for Speed or Fast and Furious. You're thinking about those type of things, but this is galaxy battles. This is freaking Star Wars, and then people are racing on top of that. Something that I really liked about Redline is that there's a lot of subtle character building. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about the characters in Redline. The racers. The racers are the most important characters in the Redline, because you get to see what they are, what they're doing, and they kind of did that between a TV interview. When athletes go out and they have a post-game after interview or a pre-game interview. It's kind of like what they did with the racers, and I thought it was a really subtle way to get the backstory without just being oh, this is the backstory of this racer, this is the backstory of this racer. It was just a really cool way to introduce the characters into the story. And also the subtle contrast between Sonashi, she's so focused on her goal, she doesn't care about whoever's around her, and JP, who's also focused on his goal, but he's trying to establish it by means he can build the people around him, his mechanic, his advisor, those things, so he can help them while he's also helping himself achieve his goals. And I thought it was pretty cool to look at that, the lone wolf basically versus the people, the friendly person. And I thought it was pretty cool to see that, and then it's very, I would say this movie is pretty simple. There's not a lot of, ideology they're trying to put behind the scenes. It's just this guy trying to, do his best to win the red line, because that's what he wants to do. That's his goal. And there's nothing more in the galaxy that he wants to do to win the red line. It's his childhood dream, and all of these things that the humankind is throwing at him, freaking biogalactic weapons and things that are freaking, they had I think it was a biological weapon, and it's basically a Death Star that can move. And it was just really crazy seeing how they were trying to get around these obstacles and actually through a race. And there's they have bio freaking weapons and 100,000 soldiers chasing them, and they have freaking airplanes and jets and freaking hovercraft on them. It was pretty cool to see that. It felt like there was it was in the Halo world, and they were racing, feels like they were racing around the Halo Wars or something. And I thought that was a really cool idea and concept. And just the artistic style of it, it feels very old anime type. I feel like it's a Samurai Champloo type of mix, but the animation behind it was very well done. And there was just something about it that really appealed to me, and just the simplicity of it was really beautiful in some parts. So that's kind of the reason why I liked Redline. And let me know down below what you guys thought about Redline, or are you guys going to see it after I talked about it? Because I think Redline is a really good movie or anime movie to get into if you haven't seen it before. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Go.